Welcome everybody. This is a video of an overview of the WIT and Kildalton College BSc in Horticulture. We run the course in two locations in both Kildalton College and also in the National Botanic Gardens. This particular video is about the Kildalton College location. I'm just going to introduce ourselves now. So my name is Cara Daly and I work in WIT and I'm the program leader for the BSc in Horticulture. So I'm your point of contact in WIT. I'm going to introduce you now to my colleague, Grainne.
Hi everyone, my name is Grainne McMahon. I'm Assistant Principal of Horticulture here in Kildalton College. So I coordinate the horticulture activities in Kildalton College. So all the courses, including the WIT students when they're out and about in Kildalton, I'd be a point of contact there.
Okay, thanks Grainne. Today's presentation is just going to go through some of the major things that you might be wondering about for the BSc in Horticulture. So we'll talk a little bit about the course, we'll talk about the locations where you'll be studying, we'll talk about some of the skills and knowledge that you will learn, and there are many, but we can't even mention them all. And then finally, there's a huge diversity of careers available to students of a horticulture degree, but it's not particularly well known. So we're going to try and tease out some of those for you to give you a more broader picture to see what's ahead after graduation. So what we'll do is we'll give you a quick overview of the course. Okay, so it's a 3-year level 7 degree, okay, 3 years. It's split into, or each year is split into a semester. So you'll have a semester before Christmas and a semester after Christmas. In year 1, we're going to teach you the basics of horticultural science and the fundamental skills that you will need to work as a horticulturalist. Okay, now we'd just like to reassure you that we don't expect you to have studied science at Leaving Cert. Okay, so our entry requirements are English, Irish and maths. So don't feel like you're at a disadvantage if you are joining the course having not studied science at Leaving Cert, or indeed having not studied for quite a few years. We have many mature students who join the course and they thrive. So in year 1, what you're doing is you're learning how to be a student and you're learning the fundamentals.
Just to add to that, Cara, on the first year of the course, different people have different experiences of horticulture. So some students would have very little experience of horticulture. Some students are coming from a horticultural industry. And we start at the start of every subject. We're not expecting anyone to have any sort of level, and we'll quickly make our way through as people develop the skills and learn a lot more. And you'll find that students learn from each other very much as well because of different experience, and people have different techniques of doing different things. A lot of students will share their knowledge and integrate that way as well. And again, with the mature students, you know, maybe they haven't been studying for a while, but they have a lot of life experience to bring to the group, and it really brings the group on, and it's a great experience for everyone in that way.
No, absolutely. And there's lots of practical skills, isn't it? Like the students won't be sitting in classrooms for a lot of time. We're out, we're learning, you know, all that muscle memory of using hand tools and driving machinery and pruning and all the rest. So there's plenty of opportunities to chat to your classmates and get to know them.
You're talking 50% continuous assessment in most modules, and that continuous assessment is in most cases for skills. So be it laboratory skills or be it skills on learning how to plant plants properly, propagation skills, lab skills, machinery skills. So it is very practical. It's quite hands-on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In year 1, you're obviously going to join year 2. And in year 2, you start to specialize. So we have 5 major streams of study in the WIT Kildalton College horticulture course. And you will choose one and do one of those in year 2. And you'll get to revisit that list then in year 3 and do another major stream of study. We also start to introduce you to some basic business acumen in year 2. A lot of horticulture businesses will fail because they haven't had, or the people who are running these businesses haven't had any kind of, you know, business training. So it's absolutely integral part of our course to make sure that you do leave the course with a good bit of business acumen, so you can run your own business, or indeed you can slot into someone else's business. Okay. There's also work experience, Grainne, isn't there?
There is. So the second semester of second year, our students go on work experience. So you're talking about 16 weeks work experience minimum. this can be done in Ireland, it can be done abroad. You find quite a few of our students have go to the States, Cara, or have done in the past. And if they go out there, what they generally do is go out in January and they stay there until they have to come back at the end of August for the going into third year. A lot of students, you pick somewhere you're interested in. So going on work experience is a great opportunity to try out the area of horticulture that you find most interesting. And we'd always stress to students, challenge yourself. Don't go somewhere just because it's close to home. Go somewhere that is going to build your career, that, go to somewhere that is known to be good at what you're interested in and help to develop your skills and your knowledge and your interest in that area. Reality, some people go into work experience and say, this is it, this is exactly what I want to do. And some people go into work experience and say, no, I don't want to work in this end of horticulture, I want to try something else. And either way, it's a great experience because you know maybe more about the direction you want to go in, or more importantly, the direction you don't want to go in. So it's about dipping your toe in the water in industry. And it's one thing being in college and learning in the large horticulture unit that we have here, but it's a different going into the work environment and learning the day-to-day running of an enterprise or a business.
Absolutely, yeah. I've often, over the years, I've seen students heading off in January to their work placements to places like New York to go and work with Summerhill Landscapes on $1 million projects in the Hamptons. I've seen people head off to the Eden project. And I have to say, I've been like, oh, geez, I wish I was them. What a great experience, We also, yeah, we also have the Una McDermott Travel Bursary, which students, we encourage students to apply for that because that will take away the financial barriers to getting to your workplace host for sure. Okay, Grainne, is there anything else we need to say for year two?
Just to mention the second year streams, Cara. So the major streams are basically based on industries in horticulture. So you've got the nursery stock production, you've got market food, sustainable food production. So all the food production, you've got the landscape design, you've got lab skills, and you've got the sports turf. So what it's doing is focusing on a major area of horticulture and helping you to specialize in an area that is, first year is very general and very overview of the entire industry and getting the fundamentals, the basics. In second year, you're starting to get into one of the industries and learning a lot more about it.
Absolutely. And then in year three, you're going to pick another one of those streams of studies, as mentioned, and you're going to specialize even further. So when you do graduate from our BSc in horticulture, you're going to have two major streams of study and experience, and it'll really put you in a good place to get a good position afterwards. You'll also do a group research project, and we add a little bit more here now to your business and your law study, and make sure that when you do leave the course, you're going out and you're operating in a legal and you can make good financial decisions, which is important.
Just to add that the course is, you're aiming to go to middle management and higher management over time out of this degree. So having that business and having that law is extremely important because that's fundamental to running any business, be it you're running somebody else's business in conjunction or you're starting your own business. So it's not necessarily that we're expecting that people are all going to set up different businesses. If you work for somebody and you're in that role, you are going to need that as well. And I know a lot of students, when they reflect back, or a lot of graduates, when they reflect back, they say, I know now that that's invaluable and why we had to do it. It's really important.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is year one. These are the modules that you'll take before Christmas. There's plant knowledge 1, plant biology, plant protection, computer skills and computer applications, horticulture skills 1, and soil and growing media. And the computer skills and computer applications, this will make sure that you have the basic computer skills so that you can do your assignments and so that you can operate well as a student. So I would just like to put anybody who wants to join the course and feels like their computer skills are not up to scratch to study as a student, you'll definitely be up to speed by Christmas of their first year of study. Ronnie, do you want to say anything about the rest of the modules there?
The plant knowledge 1 is all about plants and ornamental plants and learning how to understand the naming of plants and the characteristics of plants and what goes where, and just learning general knowledge about plants. It's about fundamental basic understanding of plant names. And I know a lot of people get very worried about the whole Latin thing. It's just it's actually, when you get into it, it doesn't seem so scary or so difficult. And I know you'd probably cut into it in plant biology. There'd be a bit of overlap there as well, Cara. And
Oh,
then,
absolutely. Yeah, they'll get it in a lot of different modules, actually. And, you know, as lecturers, we're always giving students hints and tips to remember Latin names. And we've lots of tools to help you out in that regard.
And one of the brilliant things about this course, Cara, is we physically go out and see things. So you're not learning from a book, you're out feeling it, you're out touching it, you're out smelling it, and that all builds your knowledge, and you see it out in the ground. And you know, when we do even plant protection, you're going out walking about and looking for pest disease and identifying them in the real world. They're not just going to come in a picture to you. So it's very hands-on, very interactive, and developing all your skills from that, your sensory skills. So the other one then to mention is horticulture skills 1. So that's the fundamentals of using equipment, using tools, maintenance, even simple things like weed control, pruning, preparing an area, planting from a planting plan. Loads of basic skills that we need as horticulturalists. So we cover that under horticulture skills as well.
And in year 2, this is after Christmas, you'll see modules that looks pretty similar to the semester 1 modules. So there are plant knowledge 1 in semester 1, but you have plant knowledge 2 in semester 2. So the thing about a degree is that there is so much to learn. There's hundreds of thousands of plants out there, and we would never hope to teach you absolutely everything. But what we will do is we'll teach you the tools to be able to identify plants, because there'll be new varieties and cultivars that are introduced over your working life. So you'll have the knowledge and the confidence to be able to identify them over time.
And you also develop skills like your plant propagation comes in then, so how to produce plants. So that builds on every aspect of horticulture, be you going fruit and veg, be you going landscaping. You find that a lot of landscapers are out propagating on the side, or a nursery, or any aspect. Also the hort building construction, a lot of people say, well, oh, no, that's not for me. You'd be surprised who gets really into the hard landscaping end and understanding how design works and different features go into the garden. So it's just different aspects, and it's dipping your toe in the water. And it's not a major construction. We're not building buildings here. We're building patios, pergolas, decking, things like that. So it's hands-on. It's anything unsurmountable for anyone. But it is dipping your toe in the water, getting that hands-on experience, and figuring out and understanding, you know, if you're going to build something, how much do I need to buy? What am I going to do? How am I going to go about it? So all those basic fundamental skills are covered in first year.
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, there you've got the horticulture mechanization and safety, and that's our mechanization module. And Kildalton College have a shed full of top of the range machinery over there that's constantly being updated. And Grainne, I know you have a great love for the machinery. Tell us a little bit about what you have there.
Look, we start, look, if you look, it's all the basic fundamental machinery, and it's even how do machines work. So understanding your 2-stroke, your 4-stroke engine, understanding what you're doing, understanding a mower isn't just cutting grass. We go into a lot more details, different types of mowers, what you use where, how to maintain it, how to look after it, what are you looking for when you buy a piece of equipment, and how to safely use it, which is really, really important. Your strimmers, your hedge cutters, battery powered versus petrol powered, your edging, your sprayers, your bigger machinery. I know we're after buying a new machine yesterday for weeding, a mechanical weeder for underneath the trees in the orchard. So we're trying to, again, get away from chemical control, weed control. So we're looking at other ways to do it. And with that, it brings new machinery into the college, which is brilliant because students see what's coming along and what's new in the industry as well. We
Absolutely.
also, on that whole thing of chemicals, we do teach conventional horticulture, but we also teach organic as well. So we cover all aspects. So, you know, we do cover, as I said, the chemical end, but we look at other things like your integrated pest management, threshold levels, trying to figure out what amount of pest disease you can accept, and it's going to be fine. You're still going to get a good crop. We use biological control in our glass houses down here. So the nursery, uses a huge amount of biological control for the vine weevil, red spider mite, aphids. In the strawberries, we use a lot of biological control. In the bedding plants, we use it. So we teach both sides. There's always a different argument for each side of the story. And our job isn't to convince you of one or the other. Our job is to open your eyes up and show you every aspect and let you make your own decision on which way you want to go.
Absolutely. There is a real sustainable angle to our, to our horticulture course. We recognize that as horticulturalists, we are guardians of landscapes, and there in the first semester of second year, you'll have your biodiversity and horticulture module. And this is a particularly popular module with students, for obvious reasons. Horticulture students, when you come in, you will all bond with each other over a mutual love of insects and gardens and flowers and plants. I have to say, horticulture students tend to be really in tune with the seasons, tend to be nice people, So there's a real horticulture and sustainability bent to our course as well, which probably is not immediately noticeable from some of the modules, for sure. In this semester, first semester, second year too, there we're going to introduce you to basic accounting. Okay, so students sometimes recoil a little bit when you say basic accounting to them, but the lecturer for this module is absolutely fantastic. And Marcel will guide you, and you'll be proficient at the end of the module for sure. We have a couple of big chunky modules actually in the first semester of second year. So this garden management and plant selection, that's like a double weighted module. It's 10 credits as opposed to 5 credits, which all the other modules are. And what's in the garden management and plant selection, Grainne?
So the plant selection part is it's the next stage of plant knowledge too. So in plant knowledge 1 and 2 in first year, you're learning the basics of naming plants, learning applied plants. What is a tree? What is a shrub? What's a herbaceous perennial? What's a sub-shrub? Where plants like to grow, different soil conditions, different aspect, different, environments, and you build from that. So plant selection is adding on to that and going to another level and understanding a lot more about plants and about their characteristics and about combining plants and, building that knowledge and going further. So in plant knowledge 1, you're talking about learning about 60 plants per semester. And then plant knowledge 2, by that stage in your second year, and you've learned a lot of plants and you've probably worked somewhere over the summer and in the horticulture industry, and you just up the range there, and we build on that as well. The garden management then would be management of landscapes. So from lawns to rose beds to trees to other ornamental spaces to a market garden, a small vegetable garden, to all different aspects of garden management. We go into the details. Wildflower meadows, which would then cut into the biodiversity. So there'd be a lot of interest. And we take on projects down in the college to develop those areas, and the students are involved in that.
Yeah, lots of practical work in second year too. Grainne, you mentioned earlier about the 5 major streams of study, and there they are there. Okay, so we have, all of these modules are very popular every year. So you've taken one of those during the first semester of second year. In the second semester of second year, that's when you're off on your placement. So we are in touch with second years during the second semester of year 2, but we actually don't usually see students from January until September. Okay, so, and also you get paid for your work placement, although you probably won't be able to afford to go to Barbados on the wages, Grainne, would they?
Not yet. I said earlier, Cara, that it was 16 weeks. Apologies, that's the level 6 course. It's 15 weeks work experience. But there is nothing to stop you doing it longer. You've got from January until the following August to complete your work experience. And that's the time to get out there and immerse yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, look, we're always getting emails and contacted by people who are looking for students for the summer to do work on different projects. And some of them are really interesting and they could be anywhere. So, I think one of the things is a big opportunity. One of my biggest regrets in college would be my lack of adventure in my work experience. I really know now that I should have pushed myself. I should have gone somewhere different, learned something completely new. And it is an opportunity. And you know, you mentioned going to the States over to a landscaper, Cara. We have a connection with Ohio State University, and they will organize everything for you. They'd organize, help you get your visa, they'll pick you up at the airport, they'll organize your job, they'll help you get a bank account. It's basically all laid on for you. You land over there and everything's there and you can just start. So there's a lot less stress in that. And it's fantastic. If you talk to any student who's gone to the States, they absolutely love it.
Absolutely, yeah. Mike O'Keefe of the Ohio program is a guy who studied in Ireland and is now working in Ohio State University. And you know, a great guy, really loves getting all the Irish students over there, and we love working with him. We'll move on to year number 3 now. Again, 2 semesters, you're back in, it's September, and you have 4 mandatory modules to take. And there's a little bit more of a proportion of business modules here in 3rd year. This introduction to scientific writing and data analysis, that's your project, and I teach that, and that's the thesis module. But please let me reassure you that I teach it, again, I'll bring you right back to the basics, and I'll show you how to reference, and I'll show you how to write scientifically. And you know, students sometimes start that module with a little bit of trepidation, but at the end of 3rd year, when you have one big thesis with a literature review and methods and all the rest in there, it's quite a sight to behold, and your confidence level, it's just a real sweet thing to have at the end. So look, please don't worry about the project module. I'll guide you through that.
And just to add, Cara, it's an opportunity to study in depth something that you're interested in. You know, this is something that a lot of students become immersed in. It's not the general, you know, curriculum and modules that are there. It's something that you want to explore, and it can be fantastic. You know, you can learn a huge amount, and you learn how to study yourself independently and research yourself, which is really important. No matter what business you go into, if you have an idea, you have to go and figure it out. So it's developing those core skills.
Yeah, and then many students really enjoy the research element and go off and do masters and PhDs and become researchers and lecturers themselves. So you might not even realize that you have the ability or the love of that kind of thing until you get there and you realize, yeah, actually I'm good at this and I really enjoy it. So 3rd year is always a surprising year for students, and they always enjoy it more than they think they do. You're going to then revisit this stream of major modules, and you'll pick one that you didn't pick last year. So if you've done landscape design last year, you'll maybe do nursery stock production. So you can see that when you leave this degree, you'll have 2 major streams of study. You can maybe work as an independent landscape designer for half the year, and then you can run your nursery for the whole year, you know. So I think the one thing that we will say later about the careers in horticulture is they're never dull. You know, they move and change with the seasons, and just very fulfilling, you know. So in semester 2, then you get a little bit of a choice here. So we have electives, okay? These 4 modules at the top there, they're mandatory, okay? So there's the arboriculture module. Grania, do you want to say something about the arboriculture?
So arboriculture is about trees and management and maintenance and the safety of trees. So it's all aspects of, you know, our larger plants. And again, it's developing again on what you've learned from your plant knowledge and your plant selection. So it's just on that same passage, but just specializing more into the trees, because it is a very daunting area to go in to look at, you know, and, you know, with safety of trees and health issues, there's so much to learn in there, and it's quite an interactive module and one that's quite interesting, and it might not seem that at the time, but you can really get into that one as well if you're interested in trees. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, we come in and we think we know what we're going to like in college and modules, but sometimes it sparks something and you can go down a route that you never thought you would down. It's the same with careers as well, Cara. I know a lot of people who come into college and say, oh, I want to do nursery. That's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. And they end up working in something completely different. And the beauty of studying a couple of major electives is that it opens more doors for you. And it means that, you know,
sure,
maybe there is another potential here. And that's a fantastic thing, that you're not just narrowed down one little chute, that, you know, doors will open. And even if you don't specialize in an area, you find people end up working in that, that if they didn't study a module in their major, in their second or third year, they'll end up working at it anyhow, because they have the fundamentals, they have all the basics there, and they'll go off and they'll learn and they'll learn on the job. So
absolutely, yeah.
does
And these, these major modules are sought after. So if you have a level 6 in horticulture, you can join one of these major modules as an external student and get a cert in them. So we always have students coming back to us over the years to add to their skill set by doing one of these major modules. There's also electives. There's electives in the last semester of the degree. So that's this long list here. The ones with the asterisks next to them, that pretty much means that if you've done landscape design, you can do landscape design advanced. So they're prerequisites for sure. And greenkeeping is the follow-on from sports turf, and the field crop production is the follow-on from sustainable food. So you even get to specialize further. And we'll talk a little bit now about the locations of where you'll be studying. Okay, so the WIT degree runs in WIT on the Cork Road,
in Waterford City,
and also in Kildalton College. However, you're actually probably mostly in Kildalton College. Okay, and then you'll also go to a work host. We have a free shuttle bus that will bring you from Waterford City every morning to Kildalton College for class. And then when you're finished class in Kildalton College in the evening, it'll bring you back to Waterford City. And that runs during term time, which means that you don't have to run you don't have the expense of having to run a car, and you don't have to have a driving license. I think one thing to mention about the Hortmech and safety module, Grania, is that you don't actually have to have a driving license to join this course. Okay, now it does help. It'll help for your employment.
And ideally, we would advise you to look to get your provisional license before you do the course, because look, in many ways it'll benefit you, but it just means you get to use more equipment, or we can put you in tractors or more equipment and give you more experience. But just I look, we'd ask you to apply for the provisional. Would be ideal on that one.
Okay.
And the bus, it's about 20 minutes in the morning, Cara, or 25 minutes would bring you in or bring you out. So it's pretty quick. So you can still have your social life in Waterford if that's what you want to do, and come out to Kildalton during the day. Or if you want the quiet life, you might want to live around Piltown, a quiet little village. So you're right, students spend about 4 days a week with us in first year. And in second year, it's probably 3 days a week, and it's maybe 2 days a week in third year. So it becomes more Waterford based as the years go on. Yeah,
that's very true. And I think when it comes to accommodation, a lot of students will stay in Waterford City because they will like the student nightlife. But I think, Grania, you run an accommodation list for around Piltown, don't you? So it's always a good idea to reach out to us to see what your options might be.
Yeah, if you want that list, just contact me. I'm happy to send that list out to anyone, the most up-to-date I have at that time. So people locally who have accommodation available would contact us. So we keep an active list of who has rooms.
Great stuff. Okay. So Grania, I have a video that's on YouTube about Kildalton College, and it gives some lovely aerial footage of the horticulture unit. So I'll just play that now for the viewers.
This is our main education building, Cara, where a lot of our lectures are held. This is the horticulture unit. So that's an overview of the horticulture unit we have in the college.
And in the distance there, the viewers can see the college orchard, which is 4 hectares of desserts and culinary and cider apples. And there's quite a few growth trials going on there too. And of course, Kildalton runs a commercial nursery producing more than 25,000 plants a year. So there's a wide range of stock, from herbaceous plants to alpines to trees and shrubs. You can see the strawberry tunnels there and some of the bedding crops that are produced. And it's a large estate, Kildalton College, so there's 16 hectares of established gardens and woodlands, and students have access to all of it. Kildalton also has a golf facility that contains 3 par 3 greens, as well as a sports pitch. There's a few images there from the equipment shed. We don't just have the ordinary ride-on mowers, there's also some different types of mowers, like the skid mowers. And there's an over 2,000 square metre glasshouse complex as well. And that's where a lot of the students will be doing their practical work. There's teaching labs, there's computer labs, and there's also a fully equipped design studio. As well as having access to all of those facilities over in Kildalton College, the students also have full access to all the Waterford IT facilities on site in the Cork Road, and that could be the library or indeed the electronic library database, clubs and societies, the student union, and the WIT arena, which is our gym and playing pitch complex. So overall, it's a really beautiful place to study. And you get the best of both worlds, a little bit of the city, a little bit of the country.
So Gráinne, the next thing we want to talk about is some of the skills and knowledge you'll expect to have at the end of the course. And of course, you'll be, learning this after year 1 and year 2, and your confidence will be building year on year.
Absolutely, Cara. And there is no expectation that anyone has any skills before they come in. And that's not to say that it doesn't work well for you. If you do, it's not, you work with what you've got, and everyone has different skills and everyone has different experience. So what we're doing is trying to get everyone on a par by the end of year 1, that everyone can know how to dig, know how to prepare ground, know how to plant trees, know how to maintain lawns, know how to do pruning and everything else. So you learn a huge variety of horticultural skills, be they indoors, in glass houses and polythene tunnels, outdoors in the grounds, or in a lab, or on a computer, or wherever it is, even up to your account. So they're all skills, and it's all about developing that and developing the fundamentals. And that said, your work experience is huge for that as well, because when you go on work experience, it's about developing more skills and learning about more experience. Because there's, as you said, with plants, Cara, there's so many plants out there, we can't teach you all of them. There's so many skills out there. It's impossible to hit all of them. And depending on what area you're working in, there's more and more and more. So it's about getting the fundamentals in there and the basics and understanding.
Yeah, and what's great about our course is that we have small class sizes. So if you're in a lecture in first year, you might be sharing that lecture with 2 or 3 other programs. So you might have a larger lecture. However, our practical classes, I think we only have a maximum of 15. Is it, Gráinne? And sometimes a lot. Look, so we split you up and we'll mix the groups over the year so you all get to know each other. But the great thing about that is no one is left behind. So if you have a question, it's not daunting to ask a question of lecturers because you're in a smaller group. We
know each other, and when you're out and about, we're walking around the place and we're working with you, and we're doing the skills with you. We get to know each other quite well, and it's a bit of crack and a bit of banter and learn on the way. And with the second and third years as well, in the major subjects, the way you do a second major subject and a major subject in second year and a major subject in third year, the second and third years get to mix as well, which is brilliant as well. And they learn from each other's experience and they bring each other along as well, which is great because it is small groups. And at least, you're getting to learn more people, to get to know more people who are going to be in the industry with you. So
absolutely,
get to know as many people.
Yeah, and we get to know what you're good at, and we help you develop your own skills. Jobs come into us all the time. We share those with the students.
I sent an email, Cara, on Sunday night. I have a graduate list, so anyone who wants to hear about jobs, I let them know, and I had about 15 jobs on it. And it's just they're coming in so fast. I have to send them out. So if we hear of jobs and we know that you're interested in job, we'll send you out the jobs as they come in, which is great. It's a good point of contact because students still come back, graduates still come back. We meet them out and about, or they'll call in on the way by. So we want that. We're delighted to hear when people, how they're getting on and what they're at now. And
for sure. And then not to mention all the graduates who come back and give us lectures about their careers and the projects they're working on. I mean, it's an invaluable point of contact. So it's a great way to, develop your horticulture network to, bring you all over Ireland and all over the world at times.
Absolutely.
Now, careers. Where do we start? There's such a diversity of careers available. Every year we run a Science Careers Day. And this is just a photograph taken from the balcony in the WIT Arena where it's on. and we bring employers in, so it's all the land science projects, or all the land science programs, and we bring the employers in and they talk to the students, and these people are recruiting, that's why they're there. So the thing about horticulture positions is positions aren't always advertised, it's cheaper nowadays, I guess, for employers to send an email to Grania or myself and say, hey, Grania, I've got this job. Have you got the perfect students? Can you share it with your network? And so a lot of the jobs aren't actually advertised, but we have, like, for instance, like this kind of a stat will absolutely speak for itself. So we survey graduates and we do a complete review and overhaul of the course around about every 5 years. And in the last survey we took in 2016, 88% of our graduates had secured full-time employment within 3 months of finishing the BSc in horticulture. Now that's a really good stat that speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. Our horticulture students are highly employable because they've done sometimes, 9 months of work experience in year 2. And when they go to an employer, they are ready to hit the ground running. They know how to work as part of a team and they're confident. And that's important, I think.
Employers want people who are interested in horticulture. That's it. If you've spent your 3 years studying this, you're interested and you want to do it, and they want you, they are crying out for graduates. I know several employers who are not advertising jobs, but they tell me, keep an eye out. I want somebody, I need somebody who wants to work in this industry and who's going to, work with me and develop this industry. And if you look at the industry, Cara, as well, you have a lot of businesses who are well-established, really good businesses, but they may not have somebody coming behind them. They don't have anyone to take over the business, nobody in the family. And there's potential there to create partnerships with people who are significantly interested, really interested in industry and want to work with somebody and develop a business there that's already established, but work together and bring it on. So huge potential out there, no matter what you want to work in. If you want a simple, straightforward job that you're in Monday to Friday, it's there. If you want a job that's going to challenge you and create a business or a career down the line, you can get it. Huge variety. Sure. As you said, Cara, about the diversity, I'll never forget the day I decided to do horticulture and I looked up the encyclopedia and there was 2 pages all about horticulture and different careers. And my thought was, I'm never going to get bored of this. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. And it is, you'd be shocked sometimes at the careers some of our graduates are in, because there's such a wide diverse all over the world. You have a couple of them up there, they're just, it's just the start. There's loads of different types of
I remember in my early years when I joined WIT, it must be about 5 or 6 years ago, and a parent was coming into me and they were saying, Asher, look at, it's only like cutting hedges and cutting lawns, isn't it, Cara? I'm like, oh, hold on a second. And I must have spent a half an hour chatting to him about what was possible. And he left with, an open mind. And his daughter subsequently joined the course and is fulfilling her dream career. So I think once you look, your eyes will be opened and the world is your oyster. So for instance, we produce greenkeepers for sure. And of course, if you think about any kind of playing surface, so whether it be a golf course or a GAA pitch or a hockey pitch or, any of the stadia, they require trained greenkeepers to make sure that those surfaces are playable week after week.
Even in the building of golf course as well, Cara, and football stadium, we have students involved there as well. So from start to finish, huge industry. I think a lot of people underestimate the value of greenkeeping and the golf course industry.
Another thing, Grania, is that students of this course are going to get the green cert at the end of it.
They are.
So if you're, a farmer's son or daughter, and you have a small land holding, maybe not big enough for beef or maybe to go into dairying, like with the horticulture knowledge that you will have from this course, you will be able to make that small holding pay. And then you'll get that benefit from revenue of not having to pay tax from transfer from parent to son or daughter.
So the green cert, just to mention it, Cara, is not a physical cert. It doesn't exist. So the green cert, a lot of people email me in and say, look, can you send me my green cert? Once you have your qualifications, once you have your degree, your level 7 degree, that is, you can paint it green if you want, but don't. But it is your green cert, okay? So once you have that, it's also really important for grants. If you're applying to the department for grants for developing your business, having that qualification is extremely important for you, especially in your younger years, because there's young farmer schemes that are really important and provide a higher level of grant for people who are in the industry. So it is of great value. It's not just the knowledge you get, that has another value on it as well.
For sure, yeah. So if you have a few acres at home, you could have your own nursery, you could develop it over time. A tree nursery is going to take a little bit longer to mature, Grania, than I suppose a shrub and nursery. But look,
Quite a
there's
few
so
of them
much
do,
potential
and you'll
there.
see a lot of our graduates who want to start a nursery. They'll have another job maybe on the side, and they'll start it over a couple of years and develop up their nursery. So they have the income coming in, and when they get it to a certain point, then they say, look, I'm going for this. And there's a couple of examples out there at the minute of people who are building up their business and getting their niche business in order. But because they have all the other skills, they can work in another, some of them are landscaping, some of them are maintaining other private estates and different jobs as well. Some of them just use it as a top up for the winter to produce bare root plants or hedging, whatever. There's a wide variety of people working in that industry.
Yeah, and of course, there's always support for you then when you leave us and go off out to run your own business. So, Teagasc have horticultural advisors as well as agricultural advisors. We usually hear all about the ag advisors, but the hort advisors aren't mentioned that more. But there's a great network of horticulture advisors there too. We have, over the last few years, Grania, we've had a great number of students to go off to work as craft gardeners. And many of them have ended up in private gardens, private estates.
Huge growth in this area, Cara. And I sent, and in that list of jobs I sent out the other day, I think 2 of them were for gardeners and private estates. So you'd be surprised of the hidden gems that are around Ireland that are owned privately or publicly, or open to the public or not. And we have a lot of graduates who have gone into those jobs, either managing them or working as gardeners. So people love it because they get to develop and create new gardens. And in some cases, a very unlimited budget, or they get to create something that they might be able to create at home or in another area because that opportunity. And there's always something going on, always something different. And then there's other gardeners in other public parks, and be they owned by state or semi-state bodies or owned privately. Like even if you look at the likes of Blarney Castle, Cara, that's a private estate, but we have several graduates who have worked there over the years. I think it's mainly WIT graduates. Look, there's loads of examples of that where there are opportunities to work in wonderful environments with huge varieties of plants and to get to create something and develop something and to be the guardian of something as well, Cara, which is really
brilliant.
Is look, if you look at one of our graduates on Instagram, Kieran, the head gardener in Johnstown Castle, if you watch his Instagrams and the energy he has and how excited he is, going into work every day, you just see energy coming out of graduates. It's fantastic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just those 3. I think let's go on to the next slide. This is just a small selection of what we have. Landscape building contractor. You could be your own self-employed landscape building contractor, where you go in and you design the garden, you build the garden, and you maintain the garden. Or you could go, we've a lot of students who go working for established landscape building contractors, for sure.
So that's the hard landscaping end, Cara, and the soft landscaping. So some prefer one or the other, and some are a combination of both. And it depends what people are interested in. But I can tell you, having talked to landscapers over the last number of years, the demand out there is huge again. People are really getting back into their gardens and having interest in having that space. And going back to the nursery, the demand for plants in Europe is gone through the roof. I can tell you from having a nursery here, getting supply of plants is next to near impossible at this stage. The demand out there is huge, and there seems to be a rejuvenation or a re-interest in plants and our outside space, which is fantastic, and it'll only help develop the horticulture industry in the next few years.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's where it all stems from, isn't it? Yeah. Of course, then we have the food producers. So if you want to produce a specialty crop, there'd be no point in studying agriculture, really. I think ag covers maybe some root crops and spuds, but everything else is covered by a horticulture course.
Mushrooms are the biggest horticultural industry in Ireland, you know, and people don't associate fungus with plants, with horticulture. It actually is. And there's
Yeah.
also a lot of big growers out there, Cara, of fruit and veg crops. And this course is very, very suitable for those as well. You know, this isn't just about small holding, it's about bigger holding as well. And that's where you go in your third year subject, where the veg production module is a build up, and you're talking larger scale and larger scale again. So there are huge opportunities out there. Any eyes close their ears. You know, there is a big focus towards fruit and veg production, and hopefully that will develop in this country. We have a great climate for growing a lot of fruit and veg, and why not use?
Sure. Yeah, like down in the southeast in you know, Wexford, Waterford, Tip and Carlow and Kildare, that's where you'll find the big glasshouse complexes full of tomatoes and strawberries and peppers and so on. It's and we have many students who go off working in specialty crops. We also have a lot of students who go off and run their own garden centres or work for people who run garden centres.
Yeah, if you like people, if you like interacting with people, you know, it's not just all about plants. Some people are very sociable, and they love just that, meeting people every day and people coming into the garden centre and having their questions, their challenges, and want to do this. You know, you have a chance to be creative there as well, and it's a lovely job as well. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's not for me," but some people absolutely love it. We have graduates who are thriving in that industry. Even the floristry industry, I know a lot of people think, or maybe people are turned off by the fact that, you know, you think nursery, landscaping, you think heavy work, very physical work. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that. You know, the floristry industry is a very creative industry, and it's a, pardon my pun, but it's a flourishing industry. I know maybe people mightn't think of it, but it's quite a creative, quite a busy one. Maybe not for happy occasions, but it is somewhere, you know, there's a lot of interest, and a lot of people have more money out there now and want to spend it on people, you know, and sharing it that way. And the same in interior plantscaping. People don't think about it, but a lot of big businesses have a lot of plants in their environment, because we know the benefits of having plants in our environment and the physical and mental advantage that has. There's several businesses out there that deal with, or they work with interior plants, where they hire out their plants and they change them over the year to different companies. You know, that it's actually a big business that a lot of people don't know
It is.
about.
Actually, we have a graduate, Darren, who works in interior landscaping in Dublin, and he runs a great Instagram account. And I'm always looking at it saying, "Oh my goodness, look at it." It's like he creates a garden and then changes it out every 6 months.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. We're not finished yet, Grania.
No,
We're still more.
Cara.
We've horticulture writers and journalists. We have researchers. Like this is a point that we do need to make, is that this is the science. You know, you're going to get a degree in science at the end of this, so you have the knowledge to solve problems for sure. And when you really get into it, there are a lot of problems out there. There's problems in plant science. There's problems in plant disease. There's problems with plants and insects and too many insects and so on. And they all have to be researched. And we have many graduates who've gone on to get masters and PhDs in plant science.
There's always an interest here as well, Cara. We're always looking for something in Kildalton, and because we have commercial units, we have all the problems that industry have. So we're always running little projects as well. So students get to see that. So we could be running variety trials in strawberries this year. We're looking at pest monitoring. We're looking at pruning in the cut foliage area. We're trying out new plants in the nursery. We are working with different peat-based companies to look for alternatives to peat at the minute. So those projects could be up and running in Kildalton. Students are going through and what's this? And we tell them all about it. So they get to see what we're because we're coming from the background where we studied our science degree in horticulture. We're all into that interest of finding out something new as well. So we're constantly looking at something new, and there's constantly something down there.
Yeah, so we have a lot of students who become tree surgeons, and that arboriculture really comes into its own there, doesn't it?
Yeah, as I said, it's something that people kind of look at and say, "Oh, I don't know about this," but when they get into it, they actually find it's an extremely interesting module. But to go on as a tree surgeon, when you finish your degree, you're not going to be qualified as a tree surgeon. You will have to go on and continue your studies. But it is an industry that people are very interested in. So whether they're going to do in-job training wherever they go working, or where they go further and specialize in tree surgery, yeah, it's definitely a growing industry, and there's a lot of older trees out there. I know even in Kildalton, we have a tree surgeon that we have to get in every year to manage the trees. Some of our trees are 200 years old, and you have to mind them, like anyone or anything that as it gets on, it needs a bit nurturing, it needs to be taken care of, and it's a huge industry.
Absolutely, yeah. Just that note again there about the green cert, and that we do have the green cert for you. As well as that, you can register, nowadays, if you are applying pest chemicals or herbicides, I think as well, Grania, isn't it?
Any chemical, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be registered with the Department of Agriculture and Food and the Marine as a professional user of these pesticides. So our plant protection module in year 1 allows you to register with the DAFM for that. Of course, then back into the food production end of things, when it comes to, we have vegetable farmers who have done the horticulture course, and we have a few horticulture graduates who have gone off and worked in kitchen gardens. So I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of kitchen gardens out there. It's not even just a cookery school. You have other areas where people have private estates or have a restaurant attached to it, and they want to grow their own fruit and veg. So some hotels as well would have it as well. And again, it's another area of interest and growing interest over the last number of years, where people want locally sourced food and organically or lower chemically grown food and in the local area, and they know where it's coming from. So yeah, that is definitely an area that has grown over the last few years.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the course from year 1, 2, and 3, as if you're coming in from school or you're coming in as a mature student via the CAO. All right. We also have routes into the degree if you've already done some horticulture study. Okay, so this next slide is going to explain that. Grania, you run a level 5 and a level 6 over in Kildalton College, don't you?
We do, yes. So a level 5 is a 1-year course, and then in general horticulture, and then the level 6 is an add-on year. So when sometimes, Cara, it's very hard. You don't know what you want to do, and it's very hard to commit. So some students would just do the level 5, say, look, I'll see what it is about, and I'll make my mind up at the end of the year. And a lot of them catch the bug, and then they go on to do the level 6, and they've got the bug, and they say, this studying isn't so bad, this college life, I can deal with this. And they decide, you know what, maybe I should just go and do my degree. This is what I want to do. I want to develop a career.
Absolutely.
So then they decide, well, maybe, look, I'll go on and do my degree. So, and they have the opportunity to do that, which is fantastic. That, you have that progression route that wasn't there in the past. Now you can actually use this opportunity to go on and do your degree.
Absolutely, yeah. And the route in, we call it the advanced transfer route. And what you'll do is you'll go to the WIT website. So it's not a CAO facility, it's a WIT facility. You go on there and you'll apply via the advanced transfer portal. Okay. So we definitely welcome graduates who have done a level 5 and a level 6 and have gained at least a merit overall in the level 6. And I always find that the students who come in via the advanced transfer route from these level 5 and level 6 courses, they hit the ground running when they come in. They know how to be a student, they know how to do an assignment, they know how to find the information, and they thrive. They absolutely thrive in the course. And we'll find that is these students who do the best, actually, for sure.
Yeah.
And the great thing about doing a level 5 is you'll have a qualification afterwards. You do a level 6, you'll have another qualification, but you might find that you might not be getting the supervisor or the manager jobs, and if you come in and do the degree with us, then that door opens for you. There are also some older qualifications out there around Ireland, and we welcome you to get in contact with us to talk about upgrading your own qualification. So for instance, the diploma in horticulture, that particular diploma in horticulture, which I think was a 2-year course with a significant amount of work experience in a Grania.
Yeah, it would have been, it was about 2.5 to 3 years, Cara, and
right.
There was 9 months work experience in the middle of it. Some people might have an old level 2 or level 3 certificate, so that would be those qualifications as well. So if you're not sure, even send your qualification into Cara, myself, and we'll confirm, you know, what it is and where you could fit in to transfer into the course.
Yeah, and that will allow you, you know, transfer into year 3. So you'll have a level 7 degree after only 24 weeks of study. Because our semesters are only 12 weeks long. So imagine after 24 weeks of study, you could have a degree. Well,
anyone who has those old qualifications, Cara, and they're not sure, they haven't maybe got the cert anymore, if they've lost it, if they contact me, I can get them an application form where they can apply for a letter to confirm what their qualification is.
That's great. That's great, Grainne. Thanks a million. So I think that wraps up our presentation for today. If you are interested, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email at cdaly@wit.ie. Okay. If you click this link here, this WIT/horticulture link, it will bring you to all the relevant pages for horticulture. We're on Twitter, give us a follow, and we are also on Instagram. Okay, so please do follow us and see some of the sights and sounds of the course. If you're applying via the CAO, our code for Kildalton is WD096. Okay, if you're applying for the botanics course, the course as outlined here is almost identical. In fact, the only difference is that the lab skills for plant science is not on the botanics course, and the botanics code is WD097. Okay, so listen, thank you very much for listening.
Just to mention, Cara, if anyone is, you know, still unsure and they want to come out and have a look around Kildalton, if restrictions ease from a level 5 that people can travel outside their county, we would happily show you around the college and have a chat with you. So give us a shout here at the college and we'll organise that over the summer if you want.
Thanks a million, and thank you everybody for watching.